If you clicked on this video, you're probably wondering what's the deal with all those Hers weight loss ads and wondering, do those weight loss kits actually work? And I'm letting you know that I used the kit one and I'm still currently on it, and it really does work. I am now down about 24 pounds, and I started December 2024, and it's now June 2025, and I started at 161, but I actually even gained 1 or 2 pounds by the time I got the meds. And I've been kind of hovering about 24 pounds down and maintaining that weight loss probably for about April, May, June, probably for a couple months now. And I would honestly say, if you're considering using this company to lose weight, I would recommend it. Things that I want to dispel, because you don't really know what you're getting into when you go onto their website to use them, because I didn't really know what I was going to get when I went on. I was in a point where I was desperate to lose weight. I had been using Depo-Provera for 5 years and had gotten off of June last year. And so I had been gaining weight probably for about a year and a half, where it seemed like I couldn't control that weight gain. I was at a point with Depo-Provera where I needed to get off of it because there's some side effects. You need to get off of it anyway after 3 years. So I didn't really mind that I was at a certain weight, but I did mind that I wasn't really in control of the weight that I was gaining. I wasn't really overeating to the extent of the pounds that I was gaining. It felt like a pretty hormonal, out of control weight gain in my head. And then I went to an event where it seemed like everybody around me had lost anywhere from 20 to 40 pounds. And it was pretty obvious that all of them were losing weight on Ozempic, Wegovy, or just generic semaglutides. So I kind of went to the airport after that event and was like, got on Google, found Hers, and I was basically at a point where I'm like, I don't even care if I have to use and spend $1,000 to get semaglutides, I will do it. Like, I'm at a point now where I've been doing restricted eating, I've been exercising, it's not working. Like, my period hasn't come back yet when it should have, and I am really far out from meeting my doctor. I have a pretty good doctor, but the fact that she is a really good doctor means that other people want to see her, and I had an appointment with her, but I was like really far out from getting to see her. So anyway, basically what happens is when you are going to get onto Hers is you go onto their website portal. It is a telehealth company. So it is basically, you go on and they make sure that you are a human. You have an ID, like a government issued ID, that you are of, I'm guessing, of the correct age that you can interact with the telehealth company. That I don't know what the laws are, probably like in whichever state you're in, for you to be able to get a prescription from an online doctor and get medicine prescribed by that doctor and shipped to your state. It probably depends on state by state. And that's just kind of like your general intake. And then from there, it's kind of like your normal, what would happen if you went into a normal doctor's office. You get like your general health screening things, like your health conditions, just general like blood pressure questions, chronic illnesses, what kind of medications you're on. Because I am a woman, it's, you know, like, have you ever been pregnant, your birth control, any just hormonal concerns that you have. And then because this is weight loss, it has things with like your relationship with weight loss. Like how many times have you tried to lose weight in good faith and failed? Why do you think you failed those? And then there is like a mental health component, like just like you kind of have at any doctor's visit, but there's a few more other questions to this, and I'll go into like why there is a mental health component to this. But it's just kind of your general like stack of like what medications are you on, health things, because you're going to be on a medicine, like several medications possibly. So you need to know like whether you have kidney disease or whether or not you have a history of cancer, history of diabetes, and then which medications are you on that may conflict, or you don't want to be on the same medication. Obviously, if you're already on a certain medication, they don't want to prescribe it to you. Or if you've already tried this and it did not make you lose weight, then maybe they would have you try something else. So you go do this. It's a pretty long, it took, a little bit longer than your normal, like 2-page form that you would have at your doctor's office, but it still isn't that long of a questionnaire. Then once that goes into their, whatever their algorithm AI program goes, they kind of beep boop bop that in there. And then you actually get synced up with a doctor, or I think in my case, it was like a PA, but they meet up with you and they're like, oh, hey, would you let us know what medicines you're already on? And we are going to recommend you go onto this medication kit. We need to know what supplements you're on and see if those conflict with our medications, because I think that some of those may or may not do that. And then one of the things they also need to know too is your relationship with alcohol, your relationship with weed, because there are a few of these medications that do conflict with alcohol, do conflict with weed. I think that if you are probably a person who is like either needs to smoke a lot of weed or has to like just needs to drink a lot, like maybe that's one of the reasons you would maybe be put on a semaglutide. If you're just someone that is a little bit more of a 4-drink a night person, or not 4-drink a night, but a 4-drink a week person, and I do not want to change that, versus a person who is maybe a seldom drinker, or a person who does drink a lot who wants to change that would be moved into like the pill kit type of person. So anyway, I answered my questionnaire and then I got recommended to the medication kit number 1. So the medication kit number 1 is kind of, I believe, to be the most comprehensive kit there is. It includes basically all the different medications that they have at their disposal. That is Bupropion, Naltrexone, Topiramate, a B12 supplement, and then Metformin. So all of those together are basically kind of a system that is mostly there to help suppress your diet all around, and all of these medications together help to almost subdue your food noise, and all of them, but maybe Metformin is mostly just for that. But Metformin does have a little bit more of obviously a insulin resistance relation, instead of the other ones that are just more just kind of like numb that food noise, that if you are maybe like more likely to overeat, and you need that food to kind of subdue like that, some sort of like need inside of you. But I'm definitely a person that I've never really taken a lot of medications for chronic illness. This was definitely like one of those things where seeing like all of these medications recommended for me, I was kind of like, whoa, that's like a lot to get recommended all of a sudden. So it kind of freaked me out, especially because seeing all the side effects to them, I'm one of those people where I get the list of them and I like to read them, and they do freak me out a little bit. But fortunately, I have at my disposal, my sister's a doctor. So, and then she also worked kind of, before she was a doctor, she was worked in kind of as a medical researcher. So she's kind of pretty literate in that stuff. So she can kind of like be like, that's like what they have to put down in their forms, just because that says that these are side effects that could happen. These are things that they must put on their forms for you to read. Like, this is just not there to make you panic. They just must put these things there. Even Tylenol, totally things that you buy over the counter, all have side effects. So don't be freaked out because it's an antidepressant that you've never taken before. Doesn't mean that these side effects are going to happen to you. So basically the next step is you get recommended this kit. You talk to their practitioner online, and then they look at all the supplements you're taking. And then the things that I do have that are chronic is I have migraines. So I take like magnesium supplements. And then, so I just kind of have like an overall just magnesium, joint supplements, things just like to keep myself moving. And none of those things like conflicted. And as far as I can tell, there's like, I think other than like alcohol and caffeine and weed and like cannabis, there's not like a ton of stuff that these drugs really conflict with. And even like with the naltrexone and opioids, it's kind of more of like the naltrexone like basically just like cancels it out. And that's the issue. The biggest issue with that is, so, if you're needing a painkiller, it's not going to help you. That's the biggest issue that you need to be worried about, is if you're going in to get surgery, you're going to need to get off of it, because you need to have, obviously, like if you're going to go in and get a tooth taken out, you need to get off your naltrexone because you're going to need to have pain management. So the next step is billing. So that is like one of the biggest things that people see in these ads, and they're like, it says the shots are a certain price per month. The pills are $69 per month. The thing is, you cannot do this month by month. That is, and I know that's really disappointing, because that would be probably like the most optimal thing for people, because you don't know if you're going to react poorly to these medications, or if you're going to be like do really well on these medications, but this is going to take you a really, really long time to lose this weight. Because if you've done weight loss before, the slower you do it, the more likely it's going to last on your body. So I came into this with a very like pessimistic mindset. I was like, this is not going to work. This is going to take me like a really long time to lose this weight. So when it like did the recommendation, I don't even really remember it saying I could do 3 months though. Like I've seen other people say that they bought 3 months of it. And I know that the different month packages too are the deals. Obviously, the longer you buy, the cheaper it is. So per month. So I did the 10-month package, and I believe that was like the best price per month that I got, like of this pill kit basically. But I think if I had to do it again, I would do the 3-month package, and I'll kind of say why later also. If there's like the shortest amount of time, I think I would definitely go for that. And obviously that would just be mostly because there is a world in which you just don't react well to these pills. Like, you don't know, like, especially if you've never been on Topiramate. I fortunately had migraines growing up, and when I went to college and could drink, I went off of it because I, wanted to drink alcohol. And I've since, being in my 30s, I don't really care to drink anymore. So I don't, when it was like, if you need to stop drinking to lose weight, I don't really care. If I have to never drink again, that would be fine with me. But I knew that I had been on much higher dose of Topiramate than this and did not have that bad of symptoms. But I have heard of people having not great reactions to Topiramate. Even like people who use it for migraines do not have good reactions, and people who use it for seizures. And you don't know if you're not going to have a good reaction to the Bupropion. So that's just, and even Metformin, a lot of people don't react well to that. And like a lot of these drugs, all three of these drugs, kind of when I Dr. Googled it, they all like said that they are all pretty well considered to be pretty well tolerated drugs. And these are all, I think, pretty kind of like, the Topiramate I think is like a lower dose, and then the Metformin I think is kind of like they start you out kind of on a lower dose of it. The Bupropion, I have such a hard time saying that, is you're on about 300 milligrams of that per day. That's kind of like a normal dose, I think. But if someone is like on Wellbutrin for EDD or ADHD, or as an antidepressant, they can let me know if that's like a very small dose. But I think that's kind of just a normal standard dose. But I definitely felt pretty stimulated by it when I first started taking it. So basically you give them your credit card, and like I said, I went with the 10-month plan, and so I will be charged again. I'm planning on canceling it because I'm not going to follow through with this after I got renewed. I got my second renewal of all my drugs, and that was a $690 charge. And I'm not sure if the prices of this have risen or dropped, but my prescription will be active through December 7th, if that means anything. But the next thing that happens is you give them your information, and then your prescription will be filled at whichever pharmacy I think corresponds with whatever state you live in. So I live in Washington State, so my pharmacy was in Arizona. So I think that is just kind of, once again, relates to like telehealth law, I'm guessing. Like probably a board certified pharmacy or someone in that field would be able to explain that better. But I know that I've seen on the Reddit that other people got bottles that look different from mine. So I don't really think that there's kind of like a standard of what people's bottles have to look at. Like, they don't make them look all the same. They do. These ones do look kind of like boutique-y, the ones that I got, but some people do have like your typical orange pharmacy bottles. Then mine came into like this really cute little box. The semaglutides I hear come with like a sample like meal bar and stuff. Mine did not come with a meal bar. I got like this really cool, not inconspicuous at all, hers. I have never used it because I just felt like it was really weird. Water bottle to go around. So once again, I was really pessimistic that this was gonna work. So I didn't want to be like, hey guys, I just spent almost $1,000 on pills. I don't know if I'm going to get skinnier or not, show up to work like this, because it's like everyone knows some people know what this means, or if they don't, they think it's the what else does hers do in Hims? The Hims does the hair loss, and they do. I know they do. Like you can just buy like the anti-anxiety and antidepressants from them also, but you get that. And then you do get just these bottles, and they all are just normal bottles, and they have like your black box. They have the warnings, like don't take this if you're pregnant, and they are like normal. Like I like to make mine so they're easier to open, but they have like the normal child-proof safety. But that's kind of what they all look like. And this is my filled prescription. My other ones are all totally, I wore off all the writing off of them. And then these are the, if you look up the pills, they totally track that these are what the pills say they are. Like you can Google them, and they are the drugs that they say they are. Like this is this many milligrams of Bupropion. This is that many milligrams of Metformin. So I'm going to now get into like the nitty gritty of what this medic kit is, because I also didn't see that like looking into what hers is when I just started looking into it, because they were like weight loss with no injections. I kind of thought it meant like what you see, those patches, the semaglutide patches. Like I thought that that's what that meant. It was like maybe GLP-1s, but no, it's just basically, it's just, if you went to your doctor, I think that they would maybe put you on one of these at a time and see if they worked. But no, it's just, these drugs are basically your normal medications that are used off-label pretty typically for weight loss. And like I said, you get also from the kit, you get your normal, like this is the pharmacy it comes from, and it gives you all the information. And then you get your all the information about the drugs and all the basically your big overarching side effects that you're most likely to get. If you are like an outlier and you're like, is this could this be a symptom? It's like, maybe, I don't know, but it's probably like more like correlation than causation than when it comes to like, if it's not on this list of things. But so basically the system that you get is, first is they do like a generic version of Contrave. So if you haven't heard of Contrave yet, I hadn't heard of it actually, and if I had, it was very peripheral. Contrave is actually an FDA regulated drug, and there's two parts of that, and that is a antidepressant, a DNRI. So that's a dopamine. Let me get this right, because it is a tongue twister for me. It is a dopamine norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. So basically that's kind of a lot different than your typical SSRI, and that's where I was like a little apprehensive to do, because I had taken an SSRI in high school to try to help with my migraines, and I had a really bad reaction to it. So when I saw that they recommended this DNRI, I was kind of like, ooh, like I hope that I don't have a negative reaction to this like I had with my other one. But looking into it, I saw like, oh, well, it looks like it's a little bit more of a, like stimulant, and it looks like maybe a lot of the things that it does in your brain, like I could see like helping with. I also started this in the dead of winter in the Pacific Northwest, And if you know things in the winter in Pacific Northwest, it is rainy. And so one of the other treatments for this is like seasonal affective disorder. And, you know, I would say I'm like, maybe I was like a little depressed because of, and I don't really know if it made me undepressed, but it definitely makes you like wake up in the morning and like get on with your day. Like you don't just sit around, you get up, you move. I made the mistake of not drinking coffee or drinking my normal amount of coffee when I started taking this. And that was a big mistake. You should not drink like a lot of caffeine on this. And I pretty much went almost all the way down to 0. I may drink like a little bit of caffeine, like a half calf, or like a little bit of like a 50 milligram like soda or something sometimes, but that's about it. And this basically just kind of helps, like mostly with that just food noise, and they keep this separated. I'm not exactly sure why, if it's just kind of to help keep that, number one, maybe it's because they are using this, prescribing this separately, like to other people just as an antidepressant, or if they just like to keep it separate to help like people quit. Like if people are suffering from side effects from it, then you can just quit this cold turkey. But I would say the only side effect I got from this was I got like tingling like on the tips of my finger. I think that's what I got. And then like I got from the first day, I got like just jitteriness, and then that went away very quickly with pretty much just with quit drinking coffee. And like I said, I would recommend, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to do that until I kind of asked. I was like, went on to Google and I was like, should I be drinking coffee on this? And it was like, no, don't drink that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. So the other part of Contrave is Naltrexone, and that is a basically like a alcohol and opioid disorder drug that has kind of been gotten used now for like an eating disorder medication. And it's the other half of Contrave, but in this they have this a part of that like iconic green pill that you see in all of their ads, and it has that little like H stamped on it. I don't know if I can get it to whoop. And like I don't really know why they don't compound it as like generic Contrave like together, like into whether or not that's like maybe a proprietary thing. They have to like separate that for some reason. But this pill is really gross to take. I've never had an issue taking it, but if you've ever taken potassium pills, they're way worse. But this one, if you do like get the coating on your tongue, it's like, it's a little bit gross. But this is just kind of like another one that I like don't think I've ever like got any of this like symptoms that they said. And like once again, the doctor Googling said that this one is pretty it's a kind of a nice drug because it doesn't have, it's pretty low symptomy, but it's just not very common to use in the like treatment of alcohol disorder because it doesn't really like make you ill. If you drink alcohol, it just kind of, you won't get that buzz that you get normally. Like you won't get drunk basically. And so I feel like that it's, a lot of people feel on the Reddit page that I'm on a lot, they seem to like put on these like symptoms that they get on it, but looking into it, it seems like this one doesn't really like create that many symptoms in you. If anything, it kind of will have like an anti-inflammatory effect in your body. And I definitely notice if I have skipped it, like a couple, like 1 week I was really bad. I think I skipped a couple mornings and I did feel like my joints were a little bit achier. And I don't know if it was this, because that's what one of the things this does is low doses of it are often used for things like fibromyalgia and like long COVID, just because it has such like an anti-inflammatory effect. Which, don't quote me on that. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor at all. So I should have said that at the beginning, that like I have no idea like anything that I'm saying. I've looked all of this up. I'm still alive, so I must be doing something okay. But I think that this was a really interesting little drug, so I kind of looked into it a little bit more, just to be like, is it okay to be taking a alcohol and opioid antagonist like this? And it seems like there's maybe a future in it for a lot of other things. But anyway, so that's Naltrexone. Okay, the other part of the green pill is Topiramate, which I would say I'm really happy with this. It's kind of like, it's 44 milligrams of this, so you are basically all the way up to 88 milligrams a day. And I will say I've only had one migraine while on this, and normally I feel like I have maybe 1 migraine to 2 migraines a month, like at my worst time. I've done pretty good like in my like the last 10 years managing my migraines, especially like while on birth control, like not having a period, really helped me. But the Topiramate, I had 1 migraine that was my fault. Like I totally did that to myself, like really made myself get really low on everything. So I would, on the side note, if you're looking into Topiramate for migraines, this is a great option, especially if you're afraid of needles. You don't want to be stabbing yourself with Spectrin. That's a good option for you. I may have like experienced like a little bit of eye twitching, and like I said, the numbness might have been related to that. But my I take this, I have it over here. I can maybe do a review of this. I switched to this probably like in the third or fourth week of this, because I was getting really sick of taking pills. So I tried to switch a lot of my medication, or not my medications. I tried to switch a lot of my supplements to gummies, because I was just sick of taking pills. And this is the Althea migraine gummy, and its main source of magnesium is magnesium glycinate, and it also has just like B12 in it, like a ton of B12, like stupid amount of B12, and the same main like kind of element that MigraLeaf has, that feverfew. So I basically tried to find MigraLeaf in a gummy, because that's what I've been taking for years, was the MigraLeaf. But this also has the coenzyme Q10, and this also has that what else does it have in it? Butterbur root, I don't know. And this has been really nice and tastes pretty good, and I've gone through probably like 3 of these. So I would recommend this if you're looking for a magnesium glycinate migraine supplement. This is really nice. The quality seems really good. Okay, off to the end of this last piece of the green pill is B12. So B12, basically how you titrate up for this is you're on the Bupropion, and then you're on this green pill, and then you titrate up on these 2 for 3 weeks, and then you add the Metformin after that. So what they have you do is they have you take a B12 supplement in that green pill, I think, to like amp up your B12. So then once you start taking the Metformin, if that depletes down your B12, you're just kind of pumped full of that. I don't know like why that is. My mom's on metformin, and I've never heard of her being asked to take B12 before. But I don't know. It seems nice of them to do that. But anyway, that's like the last part of that is the B12 in there. And then the last pill they put you on is, and I believe this is probably like on my survey, like I said, my mom was pre-diabetic for a long time and then became diabetic, or like basically type 2 diabetic after she had chemo and cancer treatment. So she's been on metformin for a really long time. And then also I have PMDD and just like overall just like kind of just like hormonal issues. And so I think kind of either like I've seen a lot of like people, if they have like just issues with hormones, they like, seems like the metformin has helped them out. And I will say within 2 weeks of being on the metformin, my period came back, and it came back. And I don't think I've probably only had one, like this is probably TMI, but I used to have like pretty, like not smooth, like physically, like very like rough and hurty, ouchy, like crampy periods. And since being on this metformin, I would say I've had very like smooth, like less flowy. And I mean, it has been years, so I'm not sure how common that is either after being on Depo-Provera, but like just like the pain level has been a lot better too. But I also noticed like the weight was just a lot more consistent after I started the metformin too. It just like was much more consistently came off and smooth. Like it wasn't that it was faster, it just stayed consistent. So basically what happens is they ship it out to you. Like I said, you get the physical meds, and then the way you interact with your doctors is there's just kind of like a slick little app that you have, and you can pretty much just message them at any time. They get back to you pretty quickly. I wouldn't say like minutes or hours would probably be more likely. Obviously, if you're having like a real emergency, I would definitely go to an actual doctor. They do recommend telling your doctor that you're on these medications. And then of course you need to, it's up to you to like tell your family, but you should probably tell your family like about the Naltrexone in case there's like an emergency where like you would need painkillers. Then you have this app, and that's really like how you keep track of your weight loss. They're not really like stalking you. I wouldn't ever say they know how much weight you're losing if you're successful or you're not. They do like message you. I would say I got messaged maybe like 2 months in, and they're like, how are things going? And then I didn't message them back because I didn't even see it, because I think after that was either 2 months or 4 months in, and I had hit my goal weight, and I kind of quit weighing myself and recording it. I just kind of would weigh myself. The app is good for just recommendations on weight loss strategies. If you're not like weight loss literate, it has things for like eating and protein and things like that. I looked into it a little bit, but it wasn't really any information that I didn't really already know. I just kind of did my own thing. And then if anything, I kind of like just undid a lot of my own strategies that I had learned with this. Is kind of like, I would definitely recommend this if you want to be liberated from diet culture, because I've definitely been locked in by the videos, by, you know, Special K diets and things like that, because like Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers, this having something in your head just telling you not to think about the food on your counter in your pantry is like probably the most like satisfying thing to ever have in your corner. So if you're a person that's had dealt with that before, I would definitely be like, this is the way to go. Especially if you're like me in your 30s and you've done the whole like lost weight before and just don't want to do that to your brain, do that to your self-esteem ever again. So the app is good if you don't know these things, but if you already know these things, it's not going to tell you anything with their education. But if you don't know, then it's helpful. But, and then it helps you if you want to like find other medications, you can access those through their portal. I haven't canceled yet, so I have no way to review that process. I do know, have seen on Reddit, like some people have positive experiences, some people have negative experiences, but I think that's just customer service in a nutshell. Like that's just how things work with people. I kind of think I'm going to maybe do a separate video of like how I lost the weight, like what I physically did, but in a nutshell, I did not work out. I just dieted. And by diet, I kind of just ate intuitively. Like I focused on protein, like getting enough protein and drinking water. And these pills literally were just like, ew, that's gross. Like it literally was like, that's gross. And I could go to McDonald's and buy food and then I would eat French fries and then it would be like, that's enough French fries. And I could just throw the French fries away. So, and in fact, like a lot of food that I liked eating, like probably for the first like month, I couldn't even be around. So if you're kind of wanting that, what I hear from the GLP-1 experience, these do kind of, they did that. It even made my water taste different. Like and our water is delicious. We have well water. It made our well water. I had to put lemon in it. So it does change your like perception of taste. So this is like really good, especially if you kind of just like have like a weird relationship with dieting. I would recommend this because I like definitely have had that like brushing with orthorexia and that brushing with just like you get into that space where I was getting there where I was like, I'm not going to be nice to myself. I can feel that. But I really needed to lose weight. Like I was getting to that point where my body wasn't feeling good. And I actually had never been up to 163. That's where I was. And I never weighed that much ever. And I kind of felt like if I went to the doctor to ask to lose weight, like I'm 5'3" and I wanted to get down, like, I was like, oh, I want to get down to 138. But I honestly would have been happy to just kind of be in the low 140s because that's kind of like 143 to 145 is kind of where I spent a lot of my 20s. And I kind of felt like if I went to the doctor and asked for medicine to do that, I kind of felt like they would be like, no, that's not what we're here for. So I think like the convenience of this is really, really good. And it really helps you give yourself like grace with yourself to control your eating in a way that is just a lot easier. And it allows you to achieve like these goals that are not like, I'm not trying to like, I'm not trying to achieve a physique. I am trying to achieve a health oriented goal. Like it was like my knees were hurting. Like when I went for runs, my knees were hurting. Like I was doing things and I was like, oh, it's like hard for me to get up off the couch. Like I not meant to weigh, like there was a reason I'm not supposed to weigh this much, I think, you know. And my clothes were about to start not fitting me anymore. And I was kind of like, I don't really mind how I physically look. Like I didn't really, you know, like, and honestly, like you kind of gain weight. Like I wasn't gaining weight in places that made me look worse. Like you're kind of, luckily when you're a woman, you kind of gain weight in your boobs and your butt. You're just like, well, I look fine, but you just can't physically exist and your bones don't like it. And you do apparently feel a lot better when you're a little bit lighter. So I think that if you're a person who is in that space where you're like, I do need to lose that, like I'm not heavy, but I need to lose that 15, 20 pounds. And inversely, if you are a person who needs to lose like 100 pounds, I think this is totally something that can help you too. But I do understand. I like have sympathy for those. And I'm not a person like, I don't want to like out myself, but like I just like have a lot of muscle, but I'm not going to be like 110 pounds. But I do understand that there are like very short people who, there are people who are very short, very narrow boned, who just shouldn't weigh 130 pounds and may like need to be a little bit lighter. That's maybe what they need to be. And it doesn't really, it's maybe not even be like the number on the scale, but it is like the amount of mass that they have, you know, the leanness that they have. So I also don't want to trigger anyone, but I do understand that I want to discuss that if you have experienced an eating disorder and you are maybe experiencing weight gain that is out of your control and you need to rein that in because you just physically need to rein that in, that this is perhaps a good way to do that, because sometimes weight gain is not in our control. And we need to realize that there are hormonal reasons we gain weight. There are some medicines we take make us gain weight. They just make you more hungry. There are just like external emotional factors that make you gain weight. Like this is a dopamine drug that helps you with your dopamine. There's things you cope with life with dopamine, and sometimes that gets messed up and you have to use food to cope with that. So I'm not really like someone here that needs to, I don't think you need to white knuckle your way through dieting. And especially like, I don't think people need to be standing on their soapboxes telling you that it's your fault for weighing a certain weight because you don't have the self-control to portion out the right amount of food on your kitchen scale and control your mind, when there are other ways you could do that and you could live your life and achieve your goals. And maybe these are things you can't be on long term, but your body is going to be so much happier with you, and your brain is going to be so much happier with you, and you're going to actually be able to achieve your goals successfully and succinctly than if you were just like gaining ground, losing ground, gaining ground, losing ground. Because that's where I was, you know, like crash dieting and then failing, and then like crash exercising and then failing. So I think that for me, I wish I had done this years ago. I mean, I don't know, like if you have a wedding next month, like, no, you're not going to be able to lose weight by then, but start it now. If you have a wedding next week, start it now. Like, get the prescription now. If you have a wedding last week that you needed to go to, do it now. That's like where I am with this medication, because there's really no reason not to do it. Okay, now, here are kind of some of my caveats that I would have. Metformin is really, really cheap. And I kind of feel like a schmuck for buying it online, because I do have health insurance. But you know, I do feel kind of anxious going to the doctor. And like I said, it's kind of weird to go to the doctor being lighter, smaller, and asking them to have help losing weight. So I would say that this is a great service if you maybe don't have a good relationship with your doctor, and you just want to get these meds, and you feel like you are going to be able to take them and not have an issue, and then you can just be like, I'm taking these meds to your doctor and deal with it. This is a good thing if you have just like overall like kind of a white coat syndrome. You don't want to go to the doctor, you know, like you have a lot of anxiety physically leaving your house and going to a medical office. Like, this is great. Like, I just was like on the phone in the airport, you know, and I got my stuff. It costs a lot more money, but like this cost me way more than what my insurance would like literally cover it for. But you know, that is what it is. My plan is to have my doctor basically, like, we're just going to discuss when I'm done with these ones that I've bought. I'm going to just see if I want to continue on with the DNRI, and see if I'm going to continue on with the Topiramate. I don't want to be on it for like forever, but I also don't want to have migraines. That's kind of like one of those things. So that's one of the issues I'm kind of like running into, is it's been very nice not having migraine symptoms, but there are like some things with Topamax that you do have to like consider being on it for long term. But you know, I also, you know, I'm a little apprehensive about like, if I go off of these, will the food noise come back? I don't know, you know, so I just haven't really like wanted to see what happens. I definitely feel like when, you know, I'm eating, I still just hit, even if I kind of am like, feel like I have food noise, I just feel like I don't have the physical, like desire or need to eat as much food anymore, if that makes sense either. But that's what I would say, is that's one problem. If you do have a very good relationship with your doctor, if you have a good relationship with your doctor, if you and your doctor have been talking about losing weight, if you like can get in to see them, and you like can get this prescription for hers and go in, and I would be like, I would like a 350 milligram prescription to this. I would want a Contrave prescription. I want Metformin, and see if your insurance will cover it. I don't want to out hers, you know, but I think hers already knows about this. Like, there are plenty of services that are already doing this, so it's not like they're a secret. I think what they're making their money in is convenience, and their app is really nice. Their service is really good. You know, everything is super, super cute. So they know that your doctors can prescribe this stuff for you. So if you can go in and say like, hey doc, I want to try to lose weight. Can you please prescribe this to me? And all they can say is no. You know, they can say no, and you can go on to somebody who will say yes. So if they can say yes, maybe, you know, that's one thing, but that could save you a lot of money. I'm just putting that out there because I've also seen people on Reddit be like, I told my doctor about this and they were like, you dummy, I would have given you these meds covered and you would have been paying like a 50th of the cost. So just want to put that out there. If you have good health coverage with like a pretty good relationship with your doctor, it may not be the exact same drugs or like the exact same like titration schedule, but it would be, you know, free, much more like, not if not free, it would be a lot cheaper than $690. So all in all though, I would recommend, if you have like any other like thoughts, a really good resource for me throughout this whole process is the Hers weight loss Reddit. So, and I do believe that there is a Hims weight loss Reddit too, because there's been like discussions, like when they were getting rid of the compounded semaglutide, I saw a big discussion about that. The Super Bowl ad, that was a big thing. But there's just like a big, like, that is super duper active. Like, people are always posting about like questions, they're always posting about symptoms, they're always posting about like just like packaging issues with like the like how they got like their interactions with the providers, just a bunch of different stuff. It's like really, really encouraging too. You can definitely, if you like are trying to find someone on the same journey as you too, you'll be able to find someone. Like, I was able to post and be like, this is me and I am this age and this weight, and then someone's like, oh, that's me exactly, like, that's so exciting to see, or like, that was me and I'm at that goal. And you could be like, oh, that's awesome to see someone on the same track who did it. And so it's just like a kind of an uplifting, encouraging community to be a part of, because it's not like I see a lot of that on YouTube. Like, there's not a lot of these reviews. So that's why I'm posting this, is because I think if someone could be like either recommending it or not recommending it, I would hope that would help someone decide to do it, or, you know, decide against it. I'm not sure this like helps anyone, because I'm gonna be like, wow, it really worked for me, but it may not work for you, because everybody's body is different. But I would definitely recommend going to that Reddit page if you're kind of wanting to look into it a little bit more in depth. That's a really good place to start. And then you can always just get started on your questionnaire, I think, and then cancel it before you pay for anything. I'm not sure how far into that process you can get before canceling, but just to like look into it to see what medication kit you get recommended. And I do think you can even change your medication kit. But I didn't. I kind of was, I think I was just literally in a place of just like, I need to lose weight. I'm like just that like quintessential desperate woman. Like, I need to not be this weight. Like, it was just such a like, I can't believe I was that way. Like, I didn't think it was going to happen. So I don't know if there's anyone else like that. If you're in that place in your life where you've just kind of got yourself in that hole of it's just been like packing on and packing on, don't lose hope. Like, it really just takes one day to start, and you didn't gain all this weight in one day, and you're not going to lose it all in one day. And every single week I had wasn't amazing, but it just went down steadily like the whole time. And I don't know if I'm going to maintain this like for years. It's been maintaining for like a couple months. I don't know if I'll be able to maintain it off the meds, but I know I only did it with Hers. So I have to say that all in all, You have to recommend it if it worked for you. I've tried so many different things over the years, and this is the first thing that's ever like actually worked, and it is actually real. So I would say if you're curious about it, go ahead and do it, but definitely get a little bit literate in things like what are your needs for nutrition and what are needs for like your calorie intake for like the weight you're going to want to be, like little things like that. And there's a lot of resources like on Reddit, and there's no reason I think that you shouldn't be successful if you want to use medications in your weight loss to help dull that food noise so that you can actually eat in a calorie deficit, because that's really the only way you're going to lose weight. So this is the way I lost weight, and if you want to lose weight this way too, there's only one way you can do it. I'm not going to like, or maybe I should, I don't know, maybe I'll link hers. I don't know, that's lame. No, I'm not going to. You can find hers, you'll probably get an ad for it, who knows, I don't know. This is not sponsored, by the way. I think what I'll do is, I think I'm gonna make a separate video of like how I lost weight doing this, like more like my diet and actually lack of exercise, because I went actually on a non-exercise kick to do this just for kind of like my own mental health. But I hope you learned something from this chaotic rambling of a video.